Hello, my name is Sarah Brady. I'm a 3-star priority professional based in Kildare, which is just outside Dublin in Ireland. And this is Cadence. Cadence is a new horse to me. I have him about 5 weeks. We've just started playing with Liberty. He is a 17-2 Irish draft crossed with thoroughbred, and he's 10 years old. He has a background in natural horsemanship, but he wouldn't have done too much Liberty in open space. So, one thing I've spotted over the years is that when people want to do something like stick to me, which is when I walk, the horse walks, when I stop, the horse stops, when I back, the horse backs. When we want to play this game, a lot of times I see the students just want to walk off ahead and leave the horse behind. So, with the principle of drive creates draw, I want to show you a technique that I use quite a lot and I teach my students to stack the deck in my favor so that my horse is going to come with me and wants to come with me. Then I'm going to show you how I teach it to a horse, and then how I build it up to where I do it at Liberty, and then give you an idea of how you can use this also as a technique when your horse is not putting in effort to stay attached to you and stick to me. So first thing I'm going to check is if I ask my horse to yield his hindquarters, does he understand that pressure at his quarters means to yield and not just walk forward? So first things first, I'm going to walk around to his hindquarters. Okay, so we can see Cadence understands that when I put pressure on his hindquarters, it means that they have to go away. Again, then I ask him to yield his hindquarters, and he's yielding them. Good. So that's one of the important parts of it. Then I want to check that if I ask him to yield his front end, that that's something he's going to do. Good. So he can walk, he can yield away from me. Good. I'm going to check on this side. Just because it's good on one side doesn't mean it's going to be good on the other. So what do I have to do? Good. To check my yields. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hindquarter yield and I'm going to push the hindquarters until his nose comes through and I'm going to be on the other side of him. You'll see this now in a second. And I'm going to start by rewarding that because that's kind of the fundamental of this whole thing. So, give him some slack. I'm going to walk out in a circle towards the hind end. And I'm going. So you can see there, I yielded the hindquarters until he swung the front end through and put me on the other side of him. So now I'm going to do the same thing, and I rewarded that straight away by stopping. I'm going to do the same thing now. I'm going to go to this quarter. I'm going to ask him to yield, yield, yield. And you can even help your horse if he gets stuck by just encouraging the front end to come through a little bit. Woo. And there we have a lick and chew. So he's telling me he understood something about that. Cadence is what we call a left brain introvert. So he's quite a confident type horse and he really thinks about things a lot. Good. So now I'm going to try that at Liberty. Just going to take my halter off. Never miss an opportunity to bend your horse's neck. So where you going to eat that halter? Okay. Good. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk in a semicircle to his hindquarters and ask him to yield. Good. Until he puts me on the other side of him. Now I probably would have rewarded quicker there but I wanted to be able to talk to the camera. Super, because he's an introvert, give him a second or two to think about that. If he was an extrovert, he'd probably already be moving his feet or checking out my pockets for something. So he wouldn't need as much time, perhaps. He's blinking, he's thinking about it. Yeah. Super, I'm going to check it on the other side. You notice I turn away from my horse when I go to the other quarters. Good. Good. Super. And that's a lot of big horse to turn. Something you'll notice as well when I play at Liberty a lot, most of the time I'll have my stick up, or sorry, my string up in my hand. And that avoids any unnecessary energy. You having a lick and chew? You having a think? Okay. Yeah, good stuff. This horse is a great reminder, as all horses are, that horses don't care what you know until they know that you care. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next step. I'm going to yield the quarters, I'm going to push the front end over, and I'm going to ask him to walk with me. Good. Now I'm going to push the front end, and we're going to walk. So you see where I can yield the hind end, push the front end over, and then walk off with him. That's the goal of this. Okay, and as I said, this is a horse that I'm only starting Liberty with. Excellent. So as you can see, he's quite the introvert. He wants to walk slowly, but in order to create some harmony with him, I'm actually going to walk slowly with him. I'm going to match his energy before I ask him to bring his life up and match my energy. Boy. Again, same. Yield the quarters. Push the front end. And walk. Good. And he's starting to synchronize with me a good bit. So when I had a student who was constantly using her stick and string in this motion, and her horse had just turned it into a friendly game. He was completely ignoring her stick and string. So I said to her, right, we can't use that as a driving game anymore. So what we did was we used this more to kind of encourage the horse to move on. So the game became, don't make me change your direction, okay? Plus the principle is, it's easier just to walk around with me than it is to turn all the time. This is a big horse, big long horse. Yes, that's right. So it's like turning to QE2 sometimes. So it's much easier for him to walk with me and synchronize with me than it can be to keep turning. Okay, again, I'm gonna yield the quarters. I just wanted to get his attention back there. Good. We'll push his front end through. Good. And ask him to walk. If I find he's getting too slow, okay. Good. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to use my stick, but it just means that I have an alternative to using my stick and string in this manner if I've turned it into a friendly game. Okay, good. Now let's see if we can use a little bit more of the arena and see is he gonna like put a little effort in. picking up. Got it. Now I can use my stick and string to say, come on, up here. So that's how I would encourage a horse to stick to me when I haven't really played with them much at liberty before.